Would you be able to survive this?
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. Oh, man. Get your ass.
Hello and welcome to this Minecraft challenge video. In this challenge I will be trying to survive 100 days in Minecraft, but with a twist. I have this command block which allows zombies to spawn within a 5 block radius of me at all times. The tick speed will start off at 500 and this is what that looks like. The spawn speed will increase exponentially, meaning that as less time goes on, the speed at which the zombies will spawn around me will increase until it looks something like this.
What the hell?
So I have to complete the 100 days before it gets to that. And to make it that much more interesting, I'm going to be playing on the hardest difficulty, which means I will take the most damage while doing the least damage. Day 1 was simple. The zombies were spawning around me, but it was so slow that the sun was taking care of them. All I had to do at this point was run away from them. I started by swimming out from the island I spawned at and got some wood. I quickly realized that baby zombies were going to be a big issue, and after I barely managed to survive that ordeal, I noticed that the sun was setting and I had nothing to protect me other than wood. I improvised and built this tower out of wooden planks where I spent the entirety of my first night. Day 2 began with me starting to descend my tower after enough light had taken care of the zombies. I got some wooden and stone tools and used these to get food, wood and ores. At this point my primary objective was to get a bed so I could avoid the night, because if the zombies spawn at night, they wouldn't die until the next morning. I got more ores, food and continued to explore the area. The sun started to set and once again I had absolutely nothing to protect me or enable me to skip the night. So I got some spare blocks and built another tower and sat here until the morning. I got more wood, more food and explored the area a bit more to decide where I wanted my base to be. There wasn't really anything around this area. Most of it seemed pretty dull and barren, so I opted for the most logically viable area for my base. An area near water and a jungle for easy access to food and wood. I decided to make my base a 4x4 tower since the zombies can only spawn within 5 blocks of me and they can't spawn above me. If I wanted more rooms, then I can just continue building upwards. It's a tight squeeze, but it's the safest option. It started to get dark as I was building my base, and since I don't have a bed, I hopped into my base and spent the night inside. Still not ideal, but better than before. I stayed up through the night working on the inside of my base. It was also at this point where I very stupidly decided to test whether or not I can have a wooden door. The short answer is no. So until I get enough iron for an iron door, my door will have to be solid blocks. I continued building my base the next morning, making some floors and making the base taller, and that's pretty much all I did for that day. I worked through the night and made some chests and windows so I could see when the sun had risen and it's safe for me to go outside. The next thing I needed was a bed, so I went out looking for some sheep on day 5, but this is when I realized that I needed to focus on food first, since I already had a method to survive the nights. I made this small watermelon farm at the river just behind my base, and also tested growing some potatoes inside my base. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. I waited out the night again, and on day 6, I finally got enough wool to make myself a bed. The zombies weren't too much of a problem at this point. They were more of an annoyance, but I could feel the tick speed starting to get lesser and lesser since they were spawning at a slightly quicker rate. Days 7 to 10 were spent doing mundane, but very important activities. Getting ore, cooking food, expanding the base and killing some zombies for armor. Days 11 to 17 I explored the area around my base in hopes to come across something that can give me free ores, so I don't have to go mining, and then this happened. I did end up going down into the caves to get some iron and coal, and again this was a terrible idea. Although it started out relatively okay, I quickly found myself being overwhelmed by the number of zombies around me. I didn't really want to fight them since I basically had no armor, and running away from them only allowed them to form a large group. Eventually, somehow I found myself in this situation, in a cave, with no food, and my sword broke. When all hope had seemed lost, I managed to muster up enough courage to decide that I was going to make a run for it. And it worked. I managed to run far away enough for the group to lose interest. It took me about an hour to get out of the cave, and I was in the cave for around an hour. One Minecraft day is 20 minutes real time, so that would mean we are now on day 17. The next morning, this happened. I decided enough is enough, it's time for me to get a door. So I smelted the iron I got from the caves and made a door. It was also at this point I started to realize that the zombies are spawning much quicker. I waited for the iron to smelt, tested my door with some levers and buttons, and then went to bed. Day 19, I made myself some iron armor and a shield, and I went to check on my watermelons the next morning, but sadly, none of the seedlings were ready yet. I saw these 2 cows right in front of my house, and eagerly I ran back to get some leads I had gotten at the start of the game. When I went back outside, they were gone. I really needed a way to reliably get or grow my own food. I killed some more zombies and went out to explore the areas around my base I hadn't been to yet. Most of it was empty barren lands, but behind my house, over the water, I managed to find a village. The zombies I bring with me probably mean that this will only be a one-time use sort of village, but I was okay with that since I needed food really badly. I stole their food and stayed the night. I couldn't sleep because of how close the zombies would be spawning next to me, so I sat inside a house for the entire night. The spawn rate of the zombies was clearly increasing, and it was getting quite difficult to manage doing what I needed to do while trying to dodge all of the zombies. I weaved in and out of some of the village houses and managed to find some emeralds, some bread, and a brewing stand. When I was finished, I started to make my way back home across the water. The next day, this happened. I died and lost 28 levels to a baby zombie because I was too lazy to cover up this weird sand area right next to my house. I got my stuff back and noticed that my indoor farm wasn't really growing much, so I replaced one of those center blocks with water. I also checked on my watermelon farm, which still wasn't doing too well. The watermelon farm was growing way too slowly, so I decided to give it some bone meal to help it out. I didn't have much, but at this point even 1 block of watermelon would be better than nothing. I almost died, again, but barely managed to make it out alive. The spawn rate once again felt like it had increased dramatically, and I really needed to be careful from now on. I got home and realized that I needed diamonds to be able to move on with the game, and also to make it easier to deal with the zombies. Enchantments and potions will be essential as the spawn rate of the zombies starts to increase. Potions of invisibility are going to be essential, and other potions like regeneration are also going to be super useful. Fire protection armor will help with the zombie attacks during the day since they light you on fire. Since I can't go into caves because of what happened last time, I decided to put my Minecraft veteran status to use, and I went to do some good old fashioned strip mining. I gathered some dirt to block off an area where I would enter the mine, and I got to work. This worked very well. I could hear the zombies spawning in the walls around me, but I was absolutely safe because they would just suffocate and die. I found iron, lapis, redstone, but there were no signs of diamonds. I came across multiple caves, and although I contemplated going into the caverns to look for some diamonds, I was quickly reminded why that isn't the best idea. I kept mining, and mining, and mining, and just when all hope was lost, after 3 hours of mining, I finally came across some diamonds. It was only 2, but I now had 2 more diamonds than I did before. I was exhausted from mining, and I was quite frankly unable to carry on since I was almost out of resources. I can't do much with just 2 diamonds, since I'd need a pickaxe to make a nether portal. I could use the speedrunning method of using lava buckets and water, but I don't trust myself working with lava while being constantly hunted down by zombies from all directions. I thought long and hard where I could find some more diamonds and remembered that there was an ocean behind me. I woke up the next morning and straight away I jumped into the ocean behind my house to look for some pirate ships. I found one on the way to the village behind my house. The zombies were spawning in hordes at this point. I attempted to get the map once, but ran out of air. I was planning on how to get to the captain's quarters to get the treasure map, by which point the ship was engulfed in zombies, who had turned into drowned at this point. I made the very stupid decision to go in and quickly get the map, and then quickly leave. But instead I got to experience what most of you experienced at high school. I was shoved, bullied, and pushed back into the ship by the zombies as I tried to leave. I ran back to try to get, at the very least, just the treasure map. I tried looking for it, but there was just so many zombies. At this point, I was worried that one of the zombies was holding it, and if I killed it, it might not drop the map. All this was happening while more zombies were spawning. It took a long time, but I finally found the map. I'm not too sure where it was. I must have accidentally picked it up while swimming around. But I opened my inventory and there it was. I barely got home with just half a heart left and went to sleep. I put some armor on that I had gotten while looking for the map, and set out to find the buried treasure. When I got to the location marked on the map, I had no idea how I was going to search for the treasure, with all the zombies spawning around me. It didn't help that it was on the side of a cliff, and so when I got there, I was pushed off and killed. Again. I ran back, got my stuff, and planned on how to get the treasure when I ran into something completely unbelievable. As I was swimming around avoiding the zombies, I swam to a small island for shelter, and on this island I came across another shipwreck. I was extremely happy at first, but then I remembered what happened at the last shipwreck. The zombies would not leave me alone, and to make things worse, the sun was setting too. I made another makeshift tower and waited the night out since I couldn't reliably sleep anywhere. As the zombies burned below, I started to plan on how I could get the map and treasure. I was also greeted by these friendly guys in the morning. I tried to lure the zombies away from the ship so I could go in and get the stuff, but they were spawning too quickly. They would spawn inside the ship with me. I decided to go in and break the chest since that was the quickest way, but this also ended in my demise. I went back and got some of my stuff back. The chest with the map inside was actually easier to get since it was a smaller space and the zombies couldn't spawn inside with me. I took the map, went home, sorted out my chests, and went back the next day to try to get the buried treasure from the first map that I had found. It took me a very long time to try to come up with a plan to get this buried treasure. The spawn rate of the zombies was very quick at this point, and as you can see here, the area where the treasure was located was sprawling with zombies. After running around for a bit and trying a couple of things, I died. Yep, there were just too many zombies. And combined with the fact that we were in water, they pushed me into a corner and I couldn't move. I ran back once again to get as much of my stuff as possible. My plan to get the treasure was going to be to use the same technique as the one that I used to strip mine for diamonds. I was going to block off the area I wanted to dig and dig straight down, which was okay since it was only a few blocks. I searched and I searched and I searched and I couldn't find any buried treasure anywhere. I did eventually find it from underneath, but it took a while. I got the usual heart of the sea and some armor and whatnot, but the thing I was most excited about was the diamond. This meant I could make a diamond pickaxe and start to think about making a nether portal. I went back home and day 39 was mostly spent doing some housework, cleaning chests and cooking food. I also briefly went outside to see the spawn rate of the zombies, and it's definitely a lot quicker. The next day I wanted to go back to the village behind my house and check underneath if there's a stronghold, since there's a 1 in 10 chance that a village will have a stronghold underneath them. I got to the village, checked, and there was nothing. I came back up, stole some food and left. I wanted to use my other treasure map and find its buried treasure, so I set out and it definitely wasn't easy. Food is still scarce and zombies are around every corner. One hit most likely means I'll be tossed around a group of zombies until I either die or I'm lucky enough to be thrown out of the group by chance. The sun started to set as I made my way to the location on the map, and since I forgot a bed I had to wait out the night again. I continued my journey and eventually I reached the point where I had absolutely no chance of using the method I had previously used to find the treasure. The area was just too tight and there were way too many zombies. I realized I had forgotten a pickaxe, so I ran back home, got a pickaxe, and added an entire 2 days to my journey because of my own stupid mistake. I came up with a plan to get the treasure. I ran away to a slightly less packed area and began to dig into the side of the mountain where the treasure was. If I couldn't come for it from above, then I'd come for it from below. I eventually got to the location and dug for a very long time, but found nothing. I almost gave up. But when I was leaving, I saw that the location on the map had a floating block of stone above it. In a last-ditch effort to find the treasure, I made my way up, and it wasn't long before I found the chest. Day 47 and 48 was spent getting back to the base, and I also made a back door for my house since every time I leave my house I almost die. On day 49 I now realized I couldn't avoid the inevitable for any longer, and I had to get lava for a nether portal. There was a deep cave network right next to my house, and I was hoping that there was lava inside it too. I made my way in on day 49 and I couldn't stop to assess the situation because the zombies would just attack me. So I ran in head first. I almost died, ran out of food, and only got 1 lava bucket. Oh man, what do I do here? Oh, this doesn't look good. How do I get down? This is not good. I'm out of food, out of blocks, and there's way too many zombies below me. I saw a lava river right below me, and I tried making my way down, but the situation only worsened. I was out of food, out of blocks, and the zombies were quite literally a horde clawing at my feet the entire time. And to make things worse, this happens. And that's it for this video. I'm aiming for 100 days, but I'll split the video into 2 parts and I'll make and release the second one if this video does well. Thanks for watching. If you want to see a part 2, like the video and let me know in the comments.